Hello, everyone. One of the biggest reasons why we are in the position that we are in has directly to do with how manipulatable we are, how influenceable we are. And what I'm going to do here is do my best. It's not going to encompass everything. I don't claim to know all things, don't claim to know everything about any particular subject matter. But I've been through the school of hard knocks. I do have the wisdom of years. I'm getting there. And through the shamanic work that I did, it cracked my mind open in ways that I never thought would come. I went to heal and learn the healing journey. And what I got, I'm not complaining. There are times where I have complained because it has been a lot to bear. But it opened up my mind in ways and allowed me to start thinking or seeing things, contemplating things that most people do not. And a substantial portion of the reason that we are in the position that we are in now is because human beings do not know thyself. And that's what this is going to be explaining to you. We do not know ourselves. And because we do not know ourselves, we are being manipulated on levels that are just so hard to explain to those who don't know. I haven't written anything down. A lot of the monologues that I do where I'm not recording my face, I just do off the cuff. I've seen the error of that way. And there's a lot of times I miss things that I wish I didn't miss to make it more complete. But it is what it is. On some levels, I just don't have the energy to put it all together for you guys. It takes so much time, energy, brain power, mind power, and time to put it all together. Slides, pictures, representations for the mind to see. And I'm not doing that. Not that I won't, but right now I'm not. So just bear with me. I want to explain to you what it means, in as much as I have learned to know thyself, and how much, because we do not know ourselves, we are being played like puppets. We are being corralled like cattle. Now, to know thyself, you have to understand how we are made. Quite literally, look into how we were engineered. A more complete version of this is on my channel. There is a video, it's titled, what the hell did I title it? Something about human suffering. I'm in the recording of this and I don't feel like looking. There's a splash image, the images that you put up on BitChute. It has a triangle on it and it has to do with suffering. Scroll down the channel and take that in. But this is going to scratch the surface or encompass some of that. And I'm doing this because I think it's very important for people to begin to understand. The reason one of the big reasons why we are in this position now is because we do not know ourselves. Because we do not know ourselves, we do not know how to protect ourselves. And because we do not know how to protect ourselves, we are being eaten, metaphorically. We are being taken advantage of. Whatever engineered us, whatever created us, built into the human being very, very specific things. When you start to realize that we are energy beings, you put the diodes on the head and they can measure the energy coming out of your head, and it's called the EEG. Very measurable. They put the diodes on the chest, right around the heart, and they can measure the energy coming out of your heart. EKG. Now, the amount of energy that's coming out of your heart is orders of magnitude above and beyond what comes out of your head. The energy that comes out of the heart creates this toroidal field around us that we can't see or perceive. But if you've ever passed somebody within 6, 7, 8 feet and gotten a really weird feeling, or looked at someone that you crossed paths with and got a real uneasy feeling, it's entirely likely that those fields crossed each other and you sensed their energy, although you did not know you sensed their energy. So we put out a lot of energy. We are made mental, emotional, and psychological beings. And we are born completely blank. As a species, because we are blank, we must be cultivated. There are three very specific stages of human development that leads us into adulthood. From birth to age 7, from age 7 to puberty, and then from puberty to about 21 or 22 years old, give or take. It's a couple of years one way or another for each of us. And at the final stage of that developmental process, there's this bifurcation that takes place of the brain hemispheres. And then once that all is done, we're pretty much who we're going to be, for better or for worse. Now, as mental, emotional, and psychological beings, born blank, born ignorant, and needing to be cultivated in those three developmental stages, look at how much the human species, the children of our species, have been attacked. That's one point to contemplate. Something made us and did not build into us inherent protection mechanisms for the aspects of our being that are actually the most vulnerable, that make up the very core of what it is that we are: our mind, our emotional body, and our psychology. And when I can twist up your mind, when I can stimulate you emotionally, generally to the negative, or torment or traumatize you, I can really damage your psychology. All of these things combined make up our perception. I mean, combined with our beliefs, but that probably has to do with the mind, our beliefs that get indoctrinated into the mind. Now, on top of that, inside of us, because we're mental, emotional, and psychological, we're easily stimulated. Well, what happens when we get stimulated? For better or for worse? As I said yesterday, we have these pharmacological factories that are in our bodies. And if we don't understand how we operate at a fundamental level, the evil, wicked pricks that run this world, that do very much understand the human being and how to manipulate the human being, how to stimulate the human mind, how to stimulate the herd, how to move the herd. We have these pharmacological factories that are built directly into our body by way of this glandular system, which is quite literally dosing us with drugs. I mean, some of what's in us, especially as when we're prepubescent children, is adrenaline, the adrenaline glands. And that's why these Luciferian child-killing, baby-raping assholes are known for adrenochrome. I mean, look at the Abramovich woman. That woman's like 70-something years old, and she looks 40. And her face doesn't look all pulled back like she's had all kinds of plastic surgeries. Do I know for sure? No, but it wouldn't surprise me. I digress. So as a species, we were born blank, mental, emotional, psychological beings without any inherent protection mechanisms for those aspects of us that make up the core of what we are, who we are. And then we have these pharmacological factories that are built into our bodies. And when I stimulate you or do something to piss you off or enrage you, you're getting cortisol. And I don't remember off the top of my head all of the chemicals that are associated to that. But I guarantee you, for most people, if I make you angry, rageful, hateful, spiteful, you're going to be getting dosed with chemicals, number one. And those chemicals are most likely going to cause you or induce in you a willingness to behave in ways that you may not otherwise. And the same thing with love, our perception of love, romance, things of that nature. We are being dosed with oxytocin and other such chemicals, the feel-good chemicals. And on that spectrum, we still are being dosed with chemicals, number one, that cause us to do, say, or react, respond, behave in ways that we would never otherwise. I mean, there's a perfect line in the Matrix that alludes to this. When the architect says to Neo something to the effect of, you are experiencing the chemical precursor to an emotion designed to disrupt logic and reason. Because at the core of what we are, if we're not using logic and reason, we're not thinking. We're not thinking for ourselves. That's the way it is. Now, when you have a whole group of us, whole country, that's ignorant, and conditioned to look to their authority for truth, for information, for guidance, for direction. And as it is evident, the world has been ruled by psychopaths for time immemorial. Psychopaths have no love for you. You are a pawn to be used in their game. Look at the armies on this planet. Look at how they lead the armies to slaughter. It's because we do not know this about ourselves, we don't generally have the capacity, since our creator didn't think to build into us mechanisms to protect our mental, emotional, and psychological being. Once we become aware of this, then we can begin to build the tools, cultivate the tools that are necessary to protect our mental body, our emotional body, and our psychological body. And something very interesting, but not in a good way. If I can traumatize you through physical trauma, sexual trauma, psychological abuse, or any of the myriad of ways that the human species can be tormented, abused, I can knock you so far off a center that you'll never recover. Now, think about this. To the degree that I know what it is that I do about human psychology and narcissism, narcissists are not born. Psychopaths are born, and sometimes they're created. There's primary psychopathy, I believe that's genetic. And then there's a secondary psychopathy where something so profoundly damaging happens to the child that just everything shuts off and they become rancid. And those people will never recover. That's the point. Narcissists that we see that are littered upon the earth, the vast majority of these people, as much as any of us that have ever been stung by a narcissist. And it's because I'm a humanitarian and because I truly do have compassion for my fellow man that I am able to understand and recognize this and see this, even though my life has been littered with a string of narcissists that have been so unrelenting in their attack on me and what it is they've done to rip my life apart. I still see the genesis of this shit. See, I worked in tech for a really long time. And in working in tech, you troubleshoot. You don't focus on the symptoms. You got to go back to the roots, because you're not there to work on the symptoms. You're there to find the root of the problem and fix that. But the point is we don't have an inherent mechanism to get back to center. Now, if you go beat a dog really bad and it runs off, it will go find a place, hide out, and shake it out. I've seen it. When I was younger, I had a few friends who were pretty pieces of shit and would do fucked up things to animals. And I've watched dogs shake. I don't know if you can see me in the camera, but they shake. It's called, they shake it out. So for animals, they have an inherent mechanism to bring themselves back to center and give that dog 20 minutes, a couple hours, and it's back to being the dog that it was, an unconditionally loving creature that will come back to the very human that did what it did to it. So it's clear that the animals have this built-in ability to get back to center, to get back to a base point. When you knock children off a center by way of tormenting them, abusing them, raping them, or any of the other things that happens to children, those little minds don't have the tools. They don't have the defenses, and they damn sure don't have the ability to bring themselves back to center. And to the degree in which somebody is destroyed and tormented like that will dictate largely how narcissistic they will become on some levels. And it's clear that the narcissist is profoundly damaged. And unfortunately, these people are everywhere on this planet, and they are a byproduct of what it is that I'm talking about. No ability to get back to the centered, balanced beings that they were designed to be. The same scenario can manifest itself with adults that get traumatized by relationships, war, or any other number of fucking horrible things in this world that knock the human's psychological, emotional, I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank, or mental body off a center. And people can be destroyed for the rest of their lives, their whole lives now being focused on the trauma that they endured. And their life will be so focused and centered around that little body of trauma that they never really truly develop and never live. live. See what I mean? If we don't understand these things about ourselves, we are being played like puppets, like marionettes on strings, by the principles and principalities in high places, by wicked men that roam this earth. And we do not know ourselves. We do not understand the inherent vulnerabilities that are built into us. We do not have, and I still have a real issue with this fucking thing up there, an inherent mechanism to get back to center. I had a rancid narcissist rear her head in my life, and it's taken me 2 fucking years of my life and a dark night of the soul, being anchored in the deepest darkness I've ever known, and I'm still not back to fucking center. It's a perfect illustration of what it is that I'm talking about. When the human is ignorant and does not know themselves, does not understand how we are engineered, does not understand how we're built, does not understand how we're manipulatable, we're fodder. We're fodder. Also, when it comes to knowing thyself, and you start looking at the equations built into human beings, our brains are largely firewalled off. The inward journey is largely firewalled off. I think it has a lot to do with why the vast majority of the human species does not have some meditative process where they're, I don't know, talking to God, talking to the spirit world. That journey has been firewalled off for us. It's part of the reason why I'm so rancid on this concept of God, because it's like, how fucking dare you make us like this and then sit back and watch while the entirety of the species gets destroyed by this Luciferian fucking force on this planet, cuts us all off from direct connection to the fucking spirit world by way of the pineal gland, because they've been fluoridated in the fucking water for 60, 70, 80 years, calcifying the pineal glands. And this thing just sits up there and watches. Meanwhile, all the evil that it breathed life into is living and breathing on this planet, or circling it and encompassing it in the spirit realm, having its fucking way with humankind. And is it not clear yet to people? You don't have to ask, and evil will come and destroy your world. There's examples all over the place of good people being destroyed by evil in such a myriad of ways. They didn't ask for it, they didn't invite it. It just came and injected itself into that human's life. The good does not do that. The good does not come here and balance things out in the way we see the negative, the dark side, the evil. Evil can come and go balls deep in your life, your mind, your experiences, and any aspect of your being. It can and does do it without you asking for it, without you provoking it, without any of that stuff. When that happens to good people, the good does not come and balance it out. The good does not come and protect you. And to the best of my understanding, and depending upon what you believe, the spirit world, any of it that's not evil, it just sits there and watches until we ask. Until we ask. Until us lowly little meat animals pray or beg for some assistance from the evil, this Yahweh Jehovah thing, cast upon the earth, because us little meat animals decided to eat of the fruit and stepped ourselves into an understanding of good versus evil. There are so many aspects of the equations that are built into us and the equations that are writ throughout this construct that are not pro-human, that are not for the development, the growth, and the benefit of the human species. Some of us can learn, can grow. There can be some development of us through the torment, through this killing, through the just all the ridiculous shit that this world is laden with. But think about this. As a species, think about how long, to the degree in which you understand, at the top levels all the way down, the Luciferian controllers of this world have been destroying children, molesting children, killing them, extracting their adrenochrome, bloodletting them, generation by generation by generation by generation for hundreds of years, thousands of years since the beginning. The children of our species has been attacked on such grotesque levels. It's hard to quantify it all and give people a true sense of the beating that we have taken as a human species. And it is so repugnant to me because as a sentient species capable of intelligence, logic, reason, and all the things that we are capable of, if we are not allowed to develop properly, every other species on the fucking planet is, short of what it is that we might do to it. But aside from that, by way of nature, most things develop in the process through a process that they were designed to develop through. But the human animal, no. You go after an adult, well, that's a different story. If they've grown, if they've developed, if they've become strong, whatever it is, that adult has a chance. But the children don't. Children don't have a chance. And see, as a kid, for me, I was fucking so profoundly destroyed, and it came by way of my own parents. And what it did to my life really fucked it up. I really, in this life, have not even really begun to live. Haven't really ever really experienced the juice of life. And I'm not complaining, boo-hoo me. I would argue that this type of scenario that I'm explaining is rampant across the world. Yeah. And it has directly to do with how we're built, how we're made, our ignorance, our lack of understanding of what we are, how we're engineered, what our vulnerabilities are, and how they are being attacked on every conceivable level there is. And I find it very repugnant. I find it fucking offensive that this thing we call God would sit up there, and the good ones, supposedly, the angels and all this stuff that people believe in, would sit there and watch and do nothing while our children are being raped, bloodletted, adrenochrome extracted before they die, and all of the really, 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 really horrible, horrible, horrible fucking shit that has been going on and been persistent on this planet. I don't know how long, probably from the beginning. When you look at the stories of the Sumerian texts and the gods that were here, and how they engineered us up, how they treated us back then, their bloodlines are still left on this fucking planet doing to us what's being done today. If you understand that stuff, it begins to make more sense as to why I've been so rancid on this whole concept of God. Again, making the distinction between the God, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever the fuck that is, and all of its connections all the way down to the Lucifer, Baal, Molech thing. They're all working on the same side. Or if they're on different sides, they're playing us, the human species, between them. As a species, we were made this way and then placed in the construct between this supposed good and evil. But I think the Yahweh Jehovah is wholly evil and playing the good. It wants us to perceive it as good, and it's God so that we worship it. But I think it's as evil because it is what cursed the human species, cursed us with black magic, black fucking magic. But all these Christians and Muslims and everybody else that's on their fucking knees worshiping this fucking God doesn't actually sit there and think to themselves, wow, it fucking cursed us with black magic. Simply because we decided, because of the types of beings that we were made curious. We got some intelligence, so there's some curiosity. And in the story, the metaphor, the analogy, or if it's literal, who the fuck knows? We've been so lied to. That's another thing on this planet. I'm going to digress. On this planet, not only are we what we are, mental, emotional, psychological, we're ignorant, we need to be taught. The information that's been made available to the human species has been taken from us, watered down, large chunks of it not presented to the humans and taught. Every conceivable, possible way the human species could be manipulated in the most negative of ways is happening all the time, has been happening for generation after generation. And the good, the angels, the guardians, the blah, 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 all this shit that people believe. has just sat around and watched. And unless the human is a good little sheep and prays for help, please help me, angels, they just sit around and fucking watch. But God loves you, and Jesus is coming to save you. All you Christians out there, under the biggest mind control of them all, this Christian religion, well, they're all fucking mind control. How in the fuck does any Christian that sees what these Jews are, that has done the history, that understands that these Jews are at the roots of the religions that have been the primary source of mind control for the entirety of the human species, driving us quite literally to our fucking knees. Oh, please, God, please save me. Please help me from the evil that you put here. Think about the American government creating these motherfucking terrorists over in the Middle East and then scaring the fuck out of us as a country because of the terrible terrorists that these motherfuckers created. Problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic. Synthesis, antithesis, what the fuck is that? Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic. We see that all over the planet. It's clear for anybody who's learned. But the religious-minded, Christian-minded, religion-minded people don't see that this supposed God thing is doing the same thing to us. Doing the same thing to us. It created us to worship it. And then it put this Lucifer, devil, Satan thing down here. The archetype, the energy, or quite literally a fucking being, to drive us into torment. To do what? To get on our knees and pray to that same fucking rancid demon God. Could it be more fucking obvious? Just like what's happening all over the planet. It's as obvious as it can be, but you can't get through the heads and the minds of the masses. This fucking Jehovah Yahweh thing. Again, make the distinction. Keep it in your mind. I know, I don't believe, I know there's something above that we call divinity. But, and I'm kind of all over, but there's some serious points you need to consider. Really sit with this shit. Look at what they're showing us in the movie The Matrix. The architect. Didn't really care all that much, did it? All it was worried about was its own pursuit of fucking perfection, or what it interpreted to be perfection. It didn't give a fuck about us. It did not give a fuck about the human species. All it was after was its own fucking pursuit of its own perfection, its own glory, its own ego. It didn't give a fuck about the human species. And I've said in other videos, the real fucked up thing that they showed us in that video is that Neo, when he had a choice, he was standing in front of that motherfucker. He chose to go after a piece of ass rather than remove the head of the architect to free the human species from the ultimate subjugator, the ultimate manipulator. And I would rather not live, not have life at all, if it's that rancid motherfucking thing that gave me life, gave us all life, to manipulate us, to feed it fucking energy, to feed its ego and its sense of how fucking great it is. And through all of that, there are the stories that the gods, something, made us in its image, used its genetic code. There's a couple of different ways to look at it, depending on the stories that you've taken in, depending on the information that you've read. But the Elohim, plural, gods, fear humans rising to their level or above, beyond. Kind of hard to envision that, because they're probably millions of years ahead of us, technologically and a lot of other ways. So I don't know how we could possibly do that. We're kind of primitive in a lot of ways. But it's written that they had some concerns about this. And I still sit and wonder why. So in order for any of us to get any of those blessings, any of those good angels, any of those guardian angels, anything that human beings perceive, see, it's just a perception, to be good, we have to ask for that under some pretense of non-interference. But the evil can say, fuck the rules, fuck your life. I'm going to go balls deep in your life in whatever way it is that I want. Good doesn't come and help out, especially when we're ignorant. We don't actually know because nobody ever taught us, because we were made to be ignorant. And the evil on this planet has done all it can to ensure that we will remain as ignorant as fucking possible. And in that, we're told, taught, indoctrinated to believe that we should get on our fucking knees like a bunch of unworthy fucking animals and pray. Pray for forgiveness for being human, for experiencing the human condition, for fucking up. Because a lot of times those fuck ups are how we learn, especially if nobody ever taught us. Then we're fucking gonna have to fuck up in order to figure it out. But we're sinners. Look at what's been driven into the heads of the human species. And that has happened because we have never known ourselves, at least not in the last 6,000 or 7,000 years. We haven't known ourselves. The power elite on this planet, all the way back to the days of Egyptians, oh, they've known themselves. Sure. And they've kept all the power for themselves. They've kept all the control for them. And look at what they've done to us with it. Look at what they've done to the whole of the human species. But get on your knees, Christian. Get on your knees, Muslim. Get on your knees, human, and pray to your fucking God. The more I think about the ways that we were engineered, the blocks that were put in us, the manipulation of our genetics. So that was another one. Our DNA is turned off very much. I suppose they fear whatever it might take for the human to get to a level where what? Its frequency adjusts in such a way that it starts to unlock some of the DNA. I'm telling you this right now. The last thing any of these gods would ever want is for me, specifically me. And who knows how many other motherfuckers out there feel like me. But the last thing they would ever want is for me to turn on what's turned off in me. Because I would do something like Thanos did in that Avengers movie. I know it's a movie. I get it. I totally get it. But I would do something like that. But I wouldn't cleanse half the universe indiscriminately. No, 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 no. I would go find all these gods and destroy them. Or subjugate them for, well, 450,000 fucking years. And torment the ever-loving shit out of them for 450,000 years. Mercilessly. Just like they've done to us. And then I'd probably slaughter them all to free humanity. And then I would take that power and begin to heal this universe, heal my fellow humans, and then teach them morality, ethics, natural law, and the way that humans ought to live, or at least be upon the earth. Yeah, that's what I would do. Now I'm just a mere mortal. How does this shit come to my head? How could I ever possibly think such things? And no, it's not from ego. It's not from some ridiculous place of thinking how fucking great I am. You know, we all have an ego. But I have always done the best that I could to crack the whip on my fucking ego and never bask in any sense of how great I think I fucking am. I've struggled so much in this world, and there are so many flaws that I've had to work through. There's nothing great about me. I don't sit here and bask in some perception of my greatness or how fucking intelligent I am. Again, My perception of myself is I'm about average. Maybe I could be above average. I just don't know. And I don't sit there and assess myself and concern myself with that kind of shit. But I see the plight of the human species. And to such a large degree, we are in the position that we are in because we do not know ourselves. Another aspect of knowing ourselves is our inner world, our subconscious mind. And look at how attacked we are. Look at how much rancid shit gets put into the subconscious mind when we don't know this is happening, when we're most vulnerable. Look at the problems and the baggage that has created for the whole of the human species, preventing us from truly growing, from truly thriving, from truly evolving beyond some of the most ridiculous shit. Children raising children, doing dumb shit to their children, fucking up their children. And this process has just been never fucking ending. And I find it appalling. It's disgusting. It's offensive. And then on top of that, there's this whole race of fucking Jews that literally do everything they can to destroy us, slowly, methodically. And if it's not to destroy us, it's to control and subjugate us, to manipulate our minds, to pervert our children, to inject perversions in any place they can throughout any of the 3 developmental stages of the human species. So the more that I've looked at this, the more that I've analyzed this, the more I've sat in contemplation of what we are, how we operate, what's done to us, why it's done to us, born blank, born ignorant, blah, blah, blah. And then again, I just digressed a little bit. Our inner world, our subconscious. Think about that. 5% of our being, our consciousness is conscious. The 5% that runs the show, that is what we're doing. The 95% that operates things, that's our subconscious mind. And that's where the vast majority of what we are is contained in. Some of you have heard me say, I got anchored into my shadow. Yeah. We are racked with this darkness. It's in us all. Every one of us. And I think it's a plague. I think it's a plague on humans. While I'm not in the darkness the way that I was, I can feel that I'm still oscillating back and forth. Maybe it's the Gemini and my rising sign between shadow and, well, the beautiful, loving person that I knew myself to be before that rancid narcissist did what she did to me. Yeah, I know I sound like I'm a whiny little bitch about that, but motherfucker, that woman got me on a level that I just can't even describe. I walked away, never to face me again. Fucking little bitch coward. You want to know a little interesting story about my narcissist? Fucking blew my mind when I figured it out. So I met this woman in the jungle, and 24 of us converged on the jungle from all over the world to heal, to go on a healing journey, to drink ayahuasca, to be guided by shaman. And there were 24 of us from all over the Western world. And this woman I met in the jungle, she became what I thought was my best friend. And for 3 years, she played me like a fiddle, played the part of my best friend. And up until the point where this woman reared that fucking cobra and bit me, I would have told anybody that I knew she was the most beautiful human being. And not aesthetically, although she was very attractive. The most beautiful human being to have ever entered in my life. Ever. That's what I thought. And then whammo, the narcissist struck. And then through the 18 months of my dark night of the soul, my mind was still very active, and I still fed my mind, and I come to learn this. This woman, she is a beautiful mix of Greek, Egyptian, and Lebanese, raised in Australia. So she's essentially Aussie. But what's in her blood, a little different than that. And I remember through the Christian stories and reading the Bible and the times in this life that I have, the Jezebel story and the Canaanite story. And if you know that Christian story about the Canaanite woman as this Jesus figure was walking down the road. There was a Canaanite woman that said, Jesus, please help my daughter. She's sick, she's sickly, she's dying. Please help me. Please help her. And if you remember the story, Jesus turned around to her and said, why would I give the gifts that I have for the children of Israel to a dog? Jesus himself looked upon the Canaanite as a dog. Okay. And I come to find out, as I did some research into the history, the Canaanites were Lebanese. Yeah. And then as time went on, the Egyptians invaded Lebanon, and the Canaanites became a mixture of Egyptian and Lebanese. And then if you know a little bit more about the history, then the Greeks rose in power and took over. And the Canaanites were a mix of Greek, Egyptian, and Lebanese. Canaanites. And this woman, see, I didn't know this then. My narcissist was a Canaanite, and I am an Aryan. What a twist of fucking fate that was. And I was so ignorant, too dumb to realize. And then another interesting aspect of my fucking narcissist is if you look into the fucking history, Jezebel. Oh, and this bitch pulled a Jezebel move on me like I never saw it coming. It was my own fault for not establishing a boundary. And it was my own fault for not recognizing that as a red flag. But the story of Jezebel, when you look into who that bitch was, she was Lebanese. Or she came from that Lebanese area. And I'm just like, oh my fucking God, what are the odds that these correlations apply to this fucking filthy narcissist? I have no love for these covert narcissists. I've had a couple of them back to back, and they present all nice and warm and loving until the mask comes off. The mask can come off in a year. Took this one 3 years. The one before that, fuck, we were together 5, 6 years, 6 years almost, before the mask came off and the rancid fucking demon that was behind that mask really revealed herself. And I was in a state where I trusted her, and that rancid bitch just ripped me apart, made no apologies for it. Yeah, it was a little bit of a digression, but I find it so fucking mind-blowing that in that story of the Canaanite, and then I looked into what Canaanites were. Fuck me, Agnes. And then what Jezebel was. I don't have a problem with Lebanese people. Never did. Quite frankly, until this fucking vile bitch did what she did. I had the purest love for that woman that I'd ever had for any human being in my fucking life. I'm a humanitarian. I don't care what color you are, what creed you are. I mean, I have learned subsequent to that time, we ought to be with our own kind. We ought to mate with our own kind. We ought to breed with our own kind. And that's just the way I believe it. That is the way, you know, the birds with the birds, the zebras with the zebras, like Muhammad Ali said, the dolphins with the dolphins. Well, the Aryans with the Aryans, the Canaanites with the Canaanites, black folks with black folks, Latin folks with Latin folks. It makes sense that each of our genetic groups would want racial purity. Why the fuck? Oh, it's the Jews. That's why. They've been perverting us. They've been perverting our perceptions. They've been perverting our values. They've been flooding all these third world people in all these fucking white countries. It's funny how they're not flooding white people into the third world countries. No, they're flooding those people into ours. Oh, I could go so deep on this shit. See, the problem for me right now, and it's not arrogance, it's not ego, it's nothing, that shit. And I always have to preface this shit because I just don't want to hear people tell me that they think I'm some fucking egoic asshole. But, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, something to do with, we should stay with our own. It has nothing to do with racism. It has nothing to do with racism. I've said it 1,000 times. If I hate you, if I fucking don't like you, it's not because you're black. It's not because you're brown. It's not because you're Arab. It's not because you're Indian. It's not because you're Chinese or some other race than me. I will give every man, every woman the respect that I damn well want myself. if I hate you, it's because you're an asshole. And you've clearly done things to show me that you are a rancid piece of shit. I don't give a fuck what color you are at that point. Another problem with our species, and a massive, massive vulnerability in us, is our lack of understanding of morality and ethics. Moral relativism means the morals from you to me will vary. The morals from me to him or her will vary. The morals from country to country will vary. Culture to culture, religion to religion. How is it that we as a species haven't figured out that that is one of the things at the core of our problems? We are all human beings. We should probably all subscribe to one version of morality, so that as a species, as the race of man, we have one common understanding as to how we ought to be to each other, how we ought to be to our planet, our home, and how we ought to live upon it. But no, these Jews, maybe, I don't know if they're responsible for it, but it wouldn't surprise me. We have this moral relativism. And so much of what we see coming out of the human species in the more rancid, toxic spectrum of human behaviors is probably directly tied to their lack of morality, or they adhere to a version of morality lightly that tells them that it's okay to go and conquer, to go and kill, to go and invade another country, to take what you've got because, well, I'm stronger and I want to, or whatever fucking ridiculous shit. And this is just a scratch of the surface of all of this shit that's been going on to manipulate us, to pervert us, to remove information that makes it so that we don't have a sense of what's up or down. And then on top of that, look at the world that we're in. Everything is inverted. The Luciferian doctrine. Everything is inverted. Everything. Institutions here don't do any of the things that we think they do. Education doesn't teach us. Religion doesn't bring us closer to God. Hospitals don't heal us. On and on and on and on and on. This world is inverted into the most toxic, rancid fucking shit. And most people are just content to push all that out of their fucking minds and get up, go to work, pay your bills, pay your taxes, raise your kids. Get up, go to work, pay your bills, pay your taxes, running on that motherfucking hamster wheel. And then being programmed, having their minds programmed off the fucking television. And when you understand who owns and controls the fucking television, the media, who built it? The Jews built all that shit. The Jews built Hollywood. That's not a conspiracy theory. They built that shit brick by brick. Well, they pay people. Jews don't work. They work off of other people. They take off other people's backs. And they're also responsible for building, what is it, ABC and CBS. That's theirs. So from the beginning, these mechanisms that are putting information into our head, crafting our version of reality. Here you go, little animal. Here you go, little human, you human meat animal. Here you go. Here's your version of reality. And until we realize what the fuck that is, snap out of that fucking trance and kill our television. I put 60 rounds through my fucking television at 1,000 yards with my .338 Lapua Magnum rifle. Back when I had one. Back before I sold all my shit to go into the jungle. I had a .338 Lapua Magnum. I was reloading match grade precision ammo for years. I got pretty good. I was shooting out to 2,000 yards, but I had all the time in the world to practice. And I took my television, set it at 1,000 yards. I put 60 fucking rounds through it. I sacrificed my television. It was very liberating, extremely liberating. And it probably has a large portion to do with why I have my fucking mind. Anyway, I have a lot in my head, a lot. And it's really hard to get it all out into coherent trains of thought that all line up and match and paint the picture that I'm trying to paint. That's another thing where we've been so limited, where it's really hard to get out of the mind with the mouth what's in the mind. If I could just plug in, like, I don't know, they show you in the Matrix, and just dump out my mind and show it to people, you'd understand. It would be so much easier for us to understand, for people to understand things that that I've been trying to show and teach people, share with people, things that Mark Passio has been trying to teach and share with people, David Icke, Michael Tessarion, Bill Cooper, Jordan Maxwell. There are some beautiful minds out there that has so much information in their heads. I mean, think about it. Mark Passio's been doing what he's doing for 15 fucking years. That man has hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of content. And I don't think he's gotten it all out of his head yet. It's hard for us to do that. It's draining. See, that's another thing where we were made. Long periods of prolonged analysis, deep thinking, very draining. You can literally burn calories thinking a lot. You can burn fucking calories. That's how much energy it takes out of us. I believe that we were made to be a species that is completely and wholly manipulatable, because on some levels, I firmly believe that we were engineered to be a species that is also in the food chain, because of the mental, emotional, psychological aspects of us, and the fact that we're energy beings, and the fact that we're so easily stimulatable when we're ignorant, and when we're driven to war, and all kinds of other things. The amount of energy that comes out of the human being, humans that are in war, large groups of people going and killing themselves, something is feeding on that fucking energy. And we were built for it. It's not just a coincidence that, oh, well, they just happen to be putting out energy. Oh, no. This shit was engineered right into us. But we think we're so fucking great, right? We were made to be a source of fucking food. You ever read the Popol Vuh? You should see what the Popol Vuh says. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to show you something that the Popol Vuh says specifically about what we were engineered to be. Give me just 1 second. Look at this. This is directly from the Popol Vuh. Read this paragraph right here. Let us make him who shall nourish and sustain us. What shall we do to be invoked in order to be remembered on earth? We have already tried with our first creations, our first creatures, but we could not make them praise or venerate us. So then let us try to make obedient, respectful beings who will nourish and sustain us. We were engineered to be a source of fucking food. And the Popol Vuh, that's an ancient text. Men have known this for a very long time. And when you understand how many, or that the fact that these Jews have been at the root of a lot of our wars, so they've been using us as sacrifices to their gods, whatever the fuck they are. Baal, Molech, Yahweh, Jehovah. If we're not going to worship them purposefully, then they're going to drive us into war, and they're going to get that energy out of us one way or another, by hook or by crook. So go ahead and get on your knees and pray to your fucking God. Mm-hmm. You better go above his head, because if you don't, you're just going to continue to nourish them, because you don't know how you were built. You don't know how you're being stimulated. You don't know how you're being manipulated. You're unaware of the amount of energy coming out of you and who it's feeding and what it's for. And I'll leave you with this. I could keep going, but why? Just think about the monks, the Tibetan monks, Buddhist monks, monkish type people, Japanese Zen monks. They are very even-keeled. It's really hard to knock those monks off center. And I think it has a lot to do with, they know some shit about our energy, and they're not easily moved. They're not easily stimulated. They're not easily driven to a place of emotion where they're emoting lots of energy. They figured out how to cut off the source of nourishment to these rancid fucking demons that we've been convinced to call God. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this very straight up. There's a lot of seemingly negative energy coming out of me. I am not, I will never be a Luciferian, a Satanist, or purposefully on the dark side. But I am not on that other side because I know what that other side is. The what is it? The center path. I'm not choosing that. I'm not choosing that. Fuck you both. I see what you're doing to us. I'm having a brain fart. I'm having a brain fart. It happens. I sometimes suffer from the long-term effects of short-term memory loss because, well, I smoked a lot of weed for a lot of years. Sometimes it affects my memory. So anyway, it is what it is. I am but a mere man. You know, I'm nobody's fucking perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, just a little bit of philosophizing, sharing some insight with you about knowing yourselves. And it's the fact that we don't know ourselves that we are being taken advantage of on levels that are so fucking grotesque, so obscene, it's not even funny. Oh, something else to consider. Look at what's happening in Germany, Aryans. Look at what's happening in Germany. Look at the video. Hundreds of thousands of them. How do you think any one politician is ever going to fucking survive that? If those German people went and found Merkel, and everybody working for Merkel, a whole fucking lot of them, do you think they'd be able to stop the masses from killing them? From removing the rancid fucking tumor out of their country and out of their government and destroying it all? Do you think, if you look at the videos of what's going on in Germany, or what went on a day or two ago, I was unaware of this yesterday when I did the video that I did where I said the herd isn't moving. Well, in fact, there are parts of the herd that are moving. And maybe they're not the herd. Maybe they all started thinking for themselves. And they decided to come together. And what do you think any government is going to do? What do you think any control mechanism is going to do when that many people unify? Oh boy, I tell you, when I saw those videos, it put a fire, it put an inspiration in me. It gave me some hope back. That it's not all lost, yet anyway. The Germans are seeing this. And the Germans are part of our European heritage. Don't forget that, Americans. Don't forget that, Europeans. Those German people are our cousins, and there are many Aryans among them. Something's going on. Food for thought.